Read off the screen. My eyesight's not as great as it used to be.
What's well, that's between you and Jason. If how's that look, guy, on the screen right now on our screen?
Okay, very good. Okay,
Thank
if
you.
you want to start the meeting, I call the meeting for the MRPC to order at 7:05. Um, Jason, could
Yes,
you do you have the disclaimer or could you read it?
I don't even
No.
have it.
Okay, I don't have the
Oh,
disclaimer
I'm
here.
sorry. You're talking about under item one. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this. This meeting will be recorded to ensure we
Oh,
have an
there it
accurate
is.
record of our discussion. If anyone has any concerns about being recorded, please let us know. This meeting is held under an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed by Governor Healy on March 28th, 2025, allowing local and regional governments to hold public meetings remotely or in a hybrid fashion through June 30, 2027. All votes will be taken by roll call.
Thank you, Jason. I didn't see it there, else I would have read it.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the MRPC minutes from November 6th, 2025. I don't know if everybody's read them. Do we have anybody that has any additions, subtractions, corrections? If not, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll move to accept the minutes of November 6th, 2025. Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. And do I have a second?
I'll second. Russ Burke will second.
Okay, very good. I just want to mention that because of uh, the change in the meeting, all votes will be taken by roll call. Okay, could you call the roll, Jason?
Sure thing. Russell Burke,
Present.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo, thought he was still here. I think he's muted right now. I'll come back to him in a minute. Brian Keating,
Yes.
Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbacero.
Aye.
I saw Kyle Nardowitz just came in.
Yes, I.
And coming back for a final call for Thomas Russo.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I think that's it. Did I miss anyone?
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda will be, if I'm not mistaken, the cash schedule. Do we have anybody that wants to read this?
Hi,
Anybody
Mr.
on?
Chair. Yep. Bob was unable to make it tonight, so I'll read the brief overview of the cash schedule. On hand, at the end of October was $591,689.71. This month, with the receipts, including interest on accounts, we took in $106,003.78. So cash on hand prior to any warrant was $697, $693 and 49 cents. Cash disbursements this month were in the amount of $161,275.12, resulting in an ending balance for the month of $536,418.39.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Questions for Tracy? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept subject to audit.
I'll move to accept the cash schedule report subject to audit. Alan Pease.
Okay, and a second.
Second, Doug Thornton.
Okay, very good. Could you call a roll, Jason?
Russell Burke,
Burke, aye.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Brian Keating,
Brian Keating, aye.
Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbicero,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Aye.
I believe that's it.
Okay, very good. Cash schedule accepted. Next item on the agenda, since don't have the agenda up there,
It's going to be a guest speaker, Danielle
Okay.
from CMRPC. So without further ado, when Jason pulls the agenda back up, all the information will be there. And I would respectfully request, Guy, if we could give the microphone to Danny, and Danny can work out control with the screen with Jason. How about that?
sounds like a plan.
Thank
Are
you.
you able to share your screen now, Danny?
Yeah, let me try. No, but I just sent a request.
Here we go.
Okay. There we go. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. And let me make this bigger. And actually, I'm gonna turn off my camera because sometimes when I'm presenting, it'll freeze on me, and I don't want that to happen. But I'll turn it on after. Okay. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep. Awesome. Great. Thank you. And hello, everyone. As Glenn said, my name is Danny Marini King, and I'm the manager of environmental planning for CMRPC. I want to thank you for allowing me to present on our current progress of the Greater Worcester Comprehensive Climate Action Plan, or CCAP, as it's a mouthful to say. And for tonight's presentation, I'll give a high-level overview of the plan, hit some of the major takeaways, and discuss next steps. Funding for the CCAP was provided by the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. This grant program was authorized by the Inflation Reduction Act and provided funding for states, local governments, tribes, and metropolitan statistical areas, or MSAs, to develop and implement greenhouse gas reduction strategies. A total of $5 billion was set aside for the Environmental Protection Agency to create this program, providing $250 million in planning grants and $4.6 billion for competitive implementation grants. In May 2023, CMRPC applied to be the lead entity for the Worcester, Massachusetts, and Connecticut MSA, which we refer to as the Greater Worcester Region. CMRPC was awarded a $1 million planning grant in August 2023 and began work in partnership with your organization, MRPC, as well as the Northeast Connecticut Council of Governments, or NECOG. And together we represent 79 communities across 2 states. The CPIRG planning process takes a total of 4 years to complete and requires a priority climate action plan, which was completed in March of 2024, a comprehensive climate action plan, which we just submitted to the EPA, though we'll continue to update, and a status report, which will be due in 2027. The purpose of the Greater Worcester CCAP is to provide a clear, data-driven pathway to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in 6 key sectors, including waste and materials management, electricity generation and use, transportation, agricultural, natural, and working lands, commercial and residential buildings, and industry. But what exactly are greenhouse gas emissions, and why should we care about them? Greenhouse gas emissions are gases released into the atmosphere that trap heat and warm the planet. The major greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, emitted from burning fossil fuels, industrial processes, and land use change; methane, emitted from landfills, livestock, natural gas systems, and wetlands; and nitrous oxide, emitted from agricultural soils, fertilizers, and combustion. These gases form a blanket around the Earth that lets sunlight in but prevents heat from escaping, and this is the greenhouse effect. Without it, Earth would be far too cold to support human life. The problem is that human activities over the past century have dramatically increased this natural process. There's been a rapid growth of greenhouse gas emissions over the past century, as stated, and this is correlated with population increase, industrial expansion, suburbanization, and transportation reliance. As these greenhouse gas concentrations rise, more heat becomes trapped in the atmosphere, causing a warming effect, which changes weather patterns, increases sea levels, and impacts both ecological and economic conditions. In the greater Worcester region, it's projected that by 2050, average temperatures will rise between 5 and 6 degrees Fahrenheit. The average number of 90-degree days will increase from an average of 5 days to 25 days, and will experience more intense summers, frequent heat waves, reduced agricultural yields, and increased drought, especially in summer and fall. We'll also experience increased precipitation, especially in winter and spring, with that less light and fluffy snow and more heavy or mixed precipitation. This will increase the risk of dam failures and downstream flooding. While grant programs like the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness and Hazard Mitigation programs exist to help mitigate these impacts, the CPIRG program has provided us a unique opportunity to look at the root causes of these increasing impacts on a regional scale. To ensure that we were looking at these root causes with the region's needs in mind, we utilized a robust engagement process to incorporate input from the public. At the start of the planning process, 10 public workshops were held throughout the greater Worcester region to receive feedback on priority short-term climate pollution reduction actions. Information gathered at these workshops was transformed into priority greenhouse gas emission reduction measures and were incorporated into the greater Worcester PCAP, which was submitted to the EPA back in March 2024. The team then began steps for developing the CCAP, which included launching a survey to vet and refine those PCAP measures and tabling at 13 events over the summer 2024. In addition, the team met with stakeholders in the region and technical experts in these sectors to ensure that measures incorporated would be both feasible and generally supported by the community leaders that we hope will implement them. Between August 2024 and January 2025, the team met with and interviewed 32 of these stakeholders and technical experts. Unfortunately, towards the end of January, an executive order put a pause on all CPIRG planning efforts, as there was an effort to or attempt to rescind the CPIRG grant program and its associated funding. Luckily, that funding was not rescinded, and in the spring, we were able to get back into the full swing of planning. When the federal pause was lifted, it also came with a new requirement of submitting the CCAP by our 2-year contract anniversary, which was August 7th, and instead of the December 1st deadline, which we had originally been planning for. The team kicked into a higher gear to meet this accelerated timeline and embarked on hosting 17 additional interviews, tabling at 3 events, and researching case studies to support our findings. On August 7th, we submitted version 1, or very rough draft of the CCAP, to make sure that we met the terms and conditions of our grant and to protect our funding from being pulled. Since that time, the team's been working hard to revise the CCAP to make sure that we're meeting not only the requirements of the grant program, but the needs of our region. And earlier this week, we submitted a revised and more complete version to the EPA, and we'll continue to update it as we receive more feedback. To make data-informed decisions about our reductions roadmap, we enlisted the help of Wesson and Sampson to develop a greenhouse gas emissions inventory and business-as-usual projections. A greenhouse gas emissions inventory was conducted for the year 2022 and is intended to estimate the carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide emissions from a wide array of emitting sources, using publicly available datasets and standardized equations. Total gross emissions for the year 2022 in the greater Worcester region were 9.48 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. The carbon sequestration capacity of natural and working lands in the region was 2.83 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. Therefore, the region's net emissions were 6.65 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent and is inclusive of residential, commercial, and municipal activities. The 3 largest emitting sectors in the region include stationary energy, accounting for 45% emissions, transportation at 39%, and electricity at 13%. Our emissions reduction targets for the region are aligned with Massachusetts statewide mandates and call for 50% emissions reductions below 1990 levels by 2030, 75% reductions by 2040, and 85% reductions by 2050. Wesson and Sampson backcast the 2022 inventory with estimate emission levels from 1990. This estimated that the region produced about 14 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent in 1990. And as you can see, through regulatory and technological improvements, the region's already experienced reductions since 1990 across all sectors. Some sectors are anticipated to achieve additional reductions, but all will plateau at a certain point if following a business as usual trajectory. In order to meet our targets, the region must implement measures to reduce 7.5 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2050. To achieve that reduction, the team developed a suite of measures using findings from the inventory, research, public feedback, and those expert interviews. In total, we've developed 28 high-level measures across 6 major sectors, and each measure includes key objectives or overarching goals, a geographic scope or the expected location of where the measure will be implemented, potential project leads, partners, and their anticipated roles, an estimated schedule with short, medium, and long-term actions to build to these measures, metrics for tracking progress or a list of measurable indicators of success, emissions reductions that are compared to the business as usual projections if successfully implemented, an estimated range of costs to implement each of the measures, and grants or loan programs that could be available to help implement these measures. We won't be able to go into these details tonight as we'd end up stuck here for quite a few hours, and I don't want to do that to anyone. So instead, over the next several slides, I'll briefly discuss the activities contributing to emissions in each of these sectors, the opportunities for reductions, and the measures that were developed in response to these findings. The activities contributing to emissions in the waste sector include solid waste disposal, incineration and open burning, and wastewater treatment and discharge. Biological treatments of solid waste through composting and anaerobic digestion provide opportunities to reduce emissions in this sector. To address this, we suggest diverting 95% of organic waste away from landfills by 2050 into composting, expanding utilization of anaerobic digestion at agricultural facilities and wastewater treatment plants, adopting comprehensive extended producer responsibility legislation, adopting comprehensive unit-based pricing or pay-as-you-throw programs, and creating a regional resource recovery network. We've already seen progress in some of these areas. Extended producer responsibility, or EPR laws, shift the financial burden of waste disposal to producers, or the companies that manufacture, package, and sell consumer goods, by requiring them to pay fees for the waste that their products generate. Both Connecticut and Massachusetts have introduced EPR bills in their respective legislatures. Connecticut has 4 operational statutory EPR programs that cover architectural paint, electronic devices, mattresses, and mercury thermostats. And Massachusetts has created a commission to study EPR and will be reviewing paint, mattresses, batteries, electronics, plastics, and packaging. And Jordan Dairy Farms was the first of 5 farms in Massachusetts to produce energy from an anaerobic digester. In 2011, a digester was installed at Jordan Dairy Farms' Rutland location, and in 2016, a second digester was installed at their Spencer facility. On average, they generate enough clean energy to offset 5,500 pounds of CO2 emissions. Activities contributing to emissions in the electricity generation and use sector include electricity consumption at residential, commercial, and industrial facilities, as well as emissions released from equipment used in the transmission and distribution processes. Opportunities to reduce emissions involve creating a cleaner and resilient electrical grid and making efforts to reduce consumption where feasible. To address this, we suggest installing solar generation and storage systems over already paved or underutilized surfaces, onshore and offshore wind turbine systems, small-scale modular nuclear reactor and imported nuclear energy, energy storage systems, and hydropower and micro-hydropower systems. Mount Wachusett Community College in Gardner, Mass. Meets 100% of its yearly energy needs through energy produced by two 1.65 megawatt wind turbines pictured here, and returns additional electricity generated by these turbines back to the power grid. There's also quite a few power dams in the greater Worcester region, including the Cosgrove Intake and Power Station in Clinton, the Oakdale Power Station in West Boylston, pictured here, the Quinnebog Lower Project in Brooklyn, Connecticut, and the Scotland Dam in Windham, Connecticut. For the transportation sector, fuel usage from passenger and commercial vehicles and vehicle miles traveled, which further increase that fuel usage, contribute to emissions. Opportunities for reduction include transitioning to alternative fuel in zero-emission vehicles and reducing vehicle miles traveled. To address this, we suggest expanding and improving bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, expanding and improving public transit and passenger rail, supporting expansion of alternative fuel charging infrastructure at residential, commercial, and municipal facilities, increasing adoption of zero-emission light-duty vehicles, and increasing adoption of zero-emission medium and heavy-duty vehicles. Again, the region's already seen progress in this area. In 2022, Mass Bike distributed e-bikes to participants utilizing a grant from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. The program provided bikes to 100 residents with a variety of backgrounds and income levels, including students, retirees, and working people. And since March of 2020, the Worcester Regional Transit Authority, or WRTA, transitioned to a fare-free system and is expected to continue this funding through June 2026. Through the funding of fare-free service, WRTA ridership has been higher than ever and allows residents affordable access to public transit opportunities while decreasing the reliance on personal vehicles. For agricultural, natural, and working lands, deforestation and loss of conservation lands, as well as fertilizer and pesticide usage, contribute to emissions. Opportunities for reduction involve permanently protecting forest lands, expanding the urban tree canopy, and utilizing climate-smart land management practices. To address this, we suggest planting 15% additional tree cover in public areas with little native tree and shrub coverage, permanently protecting 20,000 acres of forest land and conservation land in the region, converting 10,000 acres of manicured lawn into climate-smart gardens, converting 15,000 acres of municipally owned pavement or vacant lands into multifunctional green spaces, and reducing the usage of synthetic pesticides and fertilizers on 9,000 acres of land in the region and encourage regenerative agricultural practices. Again, in this sector, we've seen great efforts to preserve farms, forests, conservation lands, and other natural resources with partnerships between municipalities, local and regional land trusts, and state departments. Pictured here is Cormier Woods on the left-hand side, which is an 186-acre Trustees of Reservation property located in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. This preserved farmstead dates back to the 17th century and includes trails and restored woodlands. And over to the right, we've got Eagle Lake Wildlife Sanctuary, which is a 400-acre Mass Audubon property located in Holden, Massachusetts. This conserved area includes a mature forest, pond, and 3 miles of walking trails through wetland and wildflower habitats. Both show examples of preserving land, preserving carbon sequestration capacity, and providing outdoor recreation opportunities. For commercial and residential buildings, fuel usage, construction materials, and processes utilized to create these facilities, and off-road equipment all contribute to emissions. Opportunities for emissions reduction include building decarbonization and material reuse. To address this, we suggest promoting compact, mixed-use, and transit-oriented development, weatherize, deep retrofit, and electrify existing buildings, prioritizing municipal and public facilities, advance a circular construction economy, emphasizing deconstruction, material reuse, and salvage markets, mainstream sustainable materials and green construction practices, and strengthen building codes, incentives, and community engagement. Many communities in our region are already making progress in this area as well, thanks to the Green Communities Program. As an example, in 2024, New Braintree installed wall-mounted heat pumps in their town barn to serve the first floor office, second floor common area, and the basement laundry, saving the town on energy costs, reducing energy loss and energy use, and improving the comfort of the building. And in Hardwick, the town's highway department was experiencing high energy use and costs due to failed weather stripping and sealant materials. They addressed these issues in 2024 by weather stripping windows and doors, damming and framing attic hatches, and air sealing wall joints. And for the industry sector, emissions activities are similar to buildings, with fuel usage, off-road equipment, construction materials, and manufacturing materials all contributing to emissions. Opportunities for reduction include decarbonization of facilities and manufacturing processes where feasible, reusing materials, and increasing awareness of industrial impacts. To address this, we suggest mandating greenhouse gas emissions reporting and long-term decarbonization planning for large industrial buildings, establishing a regional industrial circularity accelerator, enabling solid waste diversion through reuse hubs, shared infrastructure, and material exchange platforms, and expanding electrification, energy efficiency, and zero-emission mobility. Again, there's already been progress in this area at the state level. The Massachusetts legislature has already enacted a law, the Large Building Energy Reporting, or LEBR, to require a disclosure of energy usage data for buildings greater than or equal to 20,000 square feet. This law, which was launched this year, requires electric, gas, and steam utilities to report energy usage data on behalf of these covered buildings. And it requires building owners or their agents to report usage of additional energy sources such as oil, propane, wood, and on-site renewable energy generation. If successfully implemented, the region should achieve 5.4 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent reductions by the year 2050. And paired with the carbon sequestration capacity of the region's existing natural and working lands, which is estimated to increase to 3.4 million metric tons of CO2e, the region will meet its targets by the year 2050. While these anticipated reductions look great on paper, achievement of these targets hinges on our ability to attract, train, and retain a large and skilled workforce to carry out these measures. Every measure will require a broad range of specialty occupations, many of which are already in short supply. Priority occupations such as electricians, HVAC technicians, civil engineers, construction laborers, mechanics will all be needed to meet the scope of the CCAP. This is by no means a fully comprehensive list of priority occupations. There are many other occupations that we'll need to consider, and potentially new careers that will be developed as new technologies and practices are advanced. To anticipate future workforce shortages, we've identified 4 major challenges that currently exist in the region and could impact the implementation of this plan. These include limited access to vocational and pre-apprenticeship programs with long wait lists and insufficient adult training capacity, complex and overlapping licensure and certification requirements that slow worker entry and discourage career switchers, restricted apprenticeship ratios and limited apprenticeship seats, especially in electrical and HVAC trades that are critical to decarbonization, and job quality barriers, including childcare constraints, transportation challenges, and low entry-level wages in some sectors. To alleviate this, we've identified 4 strategic workforce development opportunities that could expand labor supply and improve worker retention. Those are expanding and modernizing vocational and pre-apprenticeship pipelines, including utilizing mobile training labs, increasing adult night programs, expanding technical high school capacity, and creating new clean energy curriculum. Streamline and align licensure and certification pathways across Massachusetts and Connecticut, including reciprocity agreements and modular credentialing for technologies like heat pumps, EV charging, and advanced refrigerants. Reform the apprenticeship system, including allowing higher supervision ratios and hybrid apprenticeship models that blend classroom learning with paid on-the-job training. And improve job quality and worker supports, especially childcare, transportation access, and housing through partnerships with community-based organizations. We've made significant progress on developing the Greater Worcester CCAP, but we're not done just yet. Like I mentioned before, we submitted an updated version of the Greater Worcester CCAP to the EPA this Monday on December 1st for a completeness review. While we have submitted this version for an additional review by the EPA, this will not be our final plan. MRPC and NECOG staff will be reviewing the plan, and we plan to meet sometime in the winter to organize additional public outreach opportunities across our 3 regions. The goal of this outreach will be to further vet the plan, vet our measures, and revise as necessary based on any feedback we receive. Once we feel that we've received ample feedback and have a plan that truly represents our greater region, we'll resubmit an updated version of the plan to the EPA, publicly post that final version online, and begin steps towards implementation. I want to be clear that the CCAP is not a mandate for the region or any communities within our greater region. Instead, this plan is meant to serve as a roadmap that will guide us to reaching net zero emissions by 2050 to create a cleaner and healthier environment. For any communities or regional stakeholders who are interested in working towards these goals, both CMRPC and MRPC will be available to help guide, support, and be an overall resource for implementation. Depending on the measures or actions being targeted, we could assist with technical and planning support, data and analysis, grant writing and funding identification, project management and implementation support, regional collaboration, especially between our 2 regions, and shared services, community engagement and outreach, and capacity building, training, and knowledge sharing. Thank you all again for allowing me some time tonight to present the Greater Worcester Comprehensive Climate Action Plan. And I'd like to extend a lot of gratitude to the many MRPC staff members who have been involved in this effort, some even before I joined this effort, and who will continue to be involved as we work to tweak and then eventually implement this plan. I'd say creating a plan of this scale across, 2 states, 3 regions, 79 communities, definitely wasn't easy. So I'm very thankful to have all these great partners throughout this process. I know that I've thrown a lot at you, and for the sake of time, I wasn't able to include some of those finer details. I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have now. I've also listed my email address here in case anyone would like to follow up with me later. It's that last one listed, dmarini@cmrpc.org. But for now, I will stop sharing and turn my camera back on so I can see you all again.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I neglected to have introductions by Janet Pierce and Trish Settles. Danny, thank you. That's wonderful. And by the way, in your list of staff, it's always the person at the bottom that lists themselves that seems to do the most amount of work. It's that's code, man. That's code. Janet, would you be so kind to take the microphone away from me? Introduce yourself. Comment on the plan, if you will. And then Trish, if you would be so kind. And then Brian has his hand up, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to get to Janet, Trish, and Brian, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Glenn, and thank you all for inviting us to this meeting tonight. I'm Janet Pierce. I'm the Executive Director of the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. For those of you who may not be familiar, we serve the city of Worcester and 39 surrounding communities, many of them along our northern edge, in It's a jagged edge similar to the mountain with your region up at MRPC, and it's a pleasure to work with Glenn again and his team. And if I could just add one shout out to Tracy Murphy, I actually met her on the night of the MRPC meeting back in February, and she participated as well. So good to see you again, Tracy. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Now, do we have
Trish?
Janet wants to introduce herself?
Oh, I'm passing it to Trish, I guess, right, Glenn?
There, yep, yes, and then if Trish, you would pass the microphone to Brian, and thank you all. Thanks, Janet.
I will do that.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Trish Settles. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of Regional Collaboration and Community Planning, one of two sizable departments at CMRPC. The other side is the transportation side, but includes a lot of the environmental resiliency programs that Danny works on, and in addition to a number of others. So it's always a pleasure working with MRPC. I know that Monday we're talking with Glenn on the Paul Brun, a historic preservation grant, and we've got a mall reuse project or Milltown project, sorry, also underway. And so it's always great working with you guys. It's a pleasure to actually be here in your company. So thanks.
Thank you, Trish. Brian, did you have a question or have your hand up for something?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a couple of things. Of course, I read the report or the what you just went over, and I had some notes and questions outlined, but of course I left it on my desk at work and didn't bring it home here. But I think for the sake of time, well, one, I wanted to say it was really well done, and it's I don't know, it's encouraging with the work you do, but then it's discouraging when you think that half this country is trying to push the country in the right direction 30 years ahead, and you get the other half of the country trying to drag us back into the last century. So it's kind of hard to, it's the person to think how much work people are putting in. Anyways, but one question I had, and I've had it for a while. Solar panels. They're on the roofs. They've been on the roof for quite some time. So we must be at the point where a lot of these panels have reached the end of their useful life. What is the status of recycling these panels, or are they contributing to the waste part of this equation? Are they filling landfills, or are they being recycled? Are they being reused? Is there an update on that?
I see you shake.
I can field this if that's all right. I'm not a solar panel expert, so I can't speak to that. I would say certainly with a lot of this technology, even with the electric vehicle batteries, right, there's an amount of waste that's generated from it, and hopefully at some point there'll be some sort of mechanisms to help better recycle or reuse some of these. I think that would be the best case scenario where, things like the electric vehicle batteries or the solar panels, we can repair those and extend that period of life. I don't know that the technology is there yet, but I do see it moving in that direction. So hopefully by 2050, we're not producing more waste to have these renewable energy, products produced, and instead of reusing them like some of the strategies that we've mentioned. But I completely agree with that. Definitely don't want to cause more waste, for these.
Right. And of course, there was always talk about moving away from panels and getting into other integrated architectural elements. I don't know where that is. And the other question that I remember was, I'm also very interested in putting the onus on the manufacturers to give them the incentive instead of just having telling consumers to throw away their plastic bottles. Or put the responsibility back on the manufacturers to make them come up with their ways to reduce recycle. So I really like the fact that was included in the report. The last question I have then is also So there's going to be overlap. So, well, utility companies. Do you know what the status of the grid capacity is now? I mean, because a lot of this solar generation, wind farm, everything there's not enough capacity in the grid. Do you know what the utilities are planning on doing with that?
I don't have a specific update with what their plans are to expand the capacity in our greater region, but I know it's something that they're constantly thinking about, especially with the state's mandates to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. That's only going to be feasible through using renewable energy, which relies heavily on electricity usage. And so making sure that we've got not just a clean energy system, but also a reliable power grid to make sure that if we are converting all of our buildings to electric and we get, one of these severe storms that we're likely to have, that we're not going to lose power because of that. Again, unfortunately, I don't have an update on where they're at in that planning process, but I know it's something that the governor is certainly pushing their utilities on, and that they've all got in mind so that we can work on this goal together.
Okay, thank you. Just lastly, I just want to put a plug in for Mass Development's CPACE program. So we are in Lancaster, we are going to opt in for that, and maybe some other communities around the table have already done it, but those who haven't, it might be worth taking a look at. Thank you.
Great. Do we have any other questions? Anybody with their hand up or? No, I don't hear any. Oh, actually, I saw Janet. Just Pierce put her hand up. Please go ahead, Janet.
Sorry, thank you. I just wanted to add to that too. We did have interviews with the municipal light plants. As you know, there's quite a few of them between your region and ours, and it pretty much goes along our borders. So we did meet with many of those representatives, and they had concerns as well as far as their capacity. So in the full plan, I think, Danny, that some of their comments were included as well. Thanks. I just wanted to add that in.
Thank you, Janet. Any other comments, questions? I think it's a very ambitious plan, and I hopefully they can meet their mark, and hopefully it'll be around in 2050 to see. And so, nobody else. I thank you, Danny. Thank you, Janet, and thank you, Trish. Then we'll move on. Do you have anything else to say, Glenn?
Just a technical item between Danny and Jason. If Jason has control back of the screen, if Jason would be so kind to put the agenda back up, and then we'll find out where we are and we can proceed. Now, Janet and Trish and Danny, I know you're going to want to stay for the rest of this. So, but I think Janet, oh no, I blinked and I thought Janet already signed off. You are welcome to stay. You're certainly welcome to stay. Please, we have so many good meetings. I have to share this all of you with, especially the commissioners, that we do have a very, I think I think the folks from CMRPC agree. They already know it. We have a great rapport with our sibling agency south of the border, and the reality is that this is just one example. And I think Janet or Trish mentioned some other projects that we're doing collaboratively. And we want to continue this. We want to be able to continue to work together on these. And, quite frankly, I would close by saying, I think the CMRPC moved about a decade ago into new offices, and we have had joint staff meetings occasionally to develop these programs. I'm not allowed to go to CMRPC because they always want to come to MRPC, to our space. So commissioners, for those of you who have been around for a while and knew, we moved 8.5 years ago from the Mart building into the facility we have now, and everybody loves it. So that's just a plug for the commissioners when budget season comes around again and we got to pay the rent, which is 40% of the market rate, by the way. So thank you to our CMRPC colleagues for working with us, and we love working with you as well. We really do. We really do. The agenda is back up, and I can go back.
I also found
yeah, go.
Okay, very good. Not much administrative matters. So it's back to you, Glenn.
It is.
Quick turnaround. Actually, guest announcements first. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Do we have any guests that want to say anything? I don't see George here tonight. Any questions from the board members? If not, back to you, Glenn.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to go pretty quickly through the federal government impacts. The bottom line here, there's some narrative on about a page. Nothing adverse right now financially, and that's what this data says. I have a couple of quotes from, I think it's the Mass Federal Funding Information Office, and something else from Truman Strategies Group that basically say, hey, just be aware of these things. Jason, could you scroll down a little bit more, please? The Federal Funding Office talked about, which we all know that, that doesn't affect us, but SNAP program was, excuse me, refunded. And then Tremont Strategies also talked about the SNAP program. So just copy and paste it from their reports. Jason, could you go down to the next item, please? What I'd like to do, Mr. Chair, is I'd like to talk about items 6.2, 6.3, and I think 6.4 together because it's a package deal. The bottom line here, folks, is that under item 6.2, we are continuing the path to recognize Tracy for the promotion, to set up a salary structure for her that equates to her level of commitment, experience, and gives her some incentive to stay in the job. And we appreciate her efforts, and she's doing a dynamic job. She's doing a great job, and we're happy about. I think everybody's happy about this decision to promote Tracy as our new fiscal director following Chris McNamara. Now, in the bold 6.2, it says Tracy Murphy. Tracy has now is going by Tracy Warrington. So as soon as I heard that, I said, "Oh, that sounds like a New England Yankee." So love the name. So I will refer to Tracy Murphy as now Tracy Warrington henceforth. So basically, I'm proposing an increase to 110 from her current salary of about a little less than 92, effective next Monday. And then another incentive based on performance. We want to make sure that she's performing, and she is, and she's performing very well. And as she continues to do so, then I don't want to call it the last increase, but the last bigger bump, if you will, before we get into annual increases every July from 110 to 115, 762 on March 30. She's more than deserving. That's not an issue. I just wanted to respectfully request that we compensate her at the level. And when I'm talking about, and I will be talking about several employees tonight for elevations and new salaries, I'm talking about making sure people are paid at the market rate. We have a market rate issue, a parity issue, a retention issues, performance issues, and these people discussed tonight are all knocking it out of the park. All right. There is a resolution, but Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask to speak to 6.3 and probably 6.4, and then come back to 6.2. So, because it is a package explanation. Okay. Jason, would you be so kind to go to 6.3.1, please? So, the opening paragraph there says that Karen Chapman's employment ended on Friday 14th. We do wish her the best. She gave us 8 years of service. We thank her for those, and she really brought a lot of good services, planning services to our communities and to our region. A huge credit to Karen is that when she was doing green communities work in Townsend before she came to us about 8.5 years ago, we only had 2 communities designated as green communities, municipalities. At the time Karen came on board 8 to 8.5 years ago, 20 of the 22 cities and towns now are green communities, and that's because of Karen Chapman. So we thank her for her efforts. We have a posting policy internally because I have to find a successor to Karen. So we posted, and the dates are in there from the 17th to the 2nd. Jason, could you scroll down, please? Because there's some boring policy citation in the middle of that. For those of you that weren't around in 2003, that when we adopted that policy, we had a couple of very, 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 very good internal candidates. Okay, we had 2. And it was a really hard decision. I'm recommending that we promote Mr. Bernard Cahill from his principal planner job to the role, the department head role. His starting date would be determined upon his acceptance of the new role. He would earn an annual salary of $98,700. Every person we talk about here tonight, I end on the sentence, Mr. Cahill would also be eligible to receive the annual increase that all employees receive on July 1st. July 1, 2006, funding available. So there's a resolution that I would respectfully request that we come back to. 6.3.2, Jason, I know you're already scrolling. Thank you very much, sir. The following statements apply. I'll go through them reasonably quickly. If anybody has a question, stop me. I'm trying not to speak too fast, but I'm trying to get through this, but I don't want to go too fast either. So, Mr. Zach K, promotion requested. Zach came to us about 18 months ago, give or take. We hired him as a regional planner. So some background on the following two for Mr. K and another party under 6.3.3. So, the situation of the organization. In October, we shared that Bernie's grant writing efforts and support of others teammates in the planning and development department. We were awarded $756,000. We have to spend 513 or 514 within this fiscal year. What that does is that maintains the people that we have, and I'll get into some future funding. We started the process of preparing several grant proposals. Basically, Bernie and the team will prepare some proposals that are due in January, basically in 4 to 6 weeks. I provided a couple of quotes to a community that if they get a couple of grants, they got one, they're waiting for another. They want to engage MRPC to do work, which could equate to $200,000 to $300,000. If we get those two contracts, we're going to need to have people we can pull off the street that are qualified and say, you're here now, we have you. We need to ensure the agency has a sufficient number of employees in planning and development, primarily to cope with the anticipated workload. I do state in there at this time, it appears GIS and transportation appear to have sufficient work and sufficient balance of employees to revenue. If that changes, we will come back and we'll talk about that. Jason, could you scroll down after that large paragraph? And then, so we've internally posted for more planners. We need to advertise. I need to get together with Holly tomorrow to advertise external for 1 or 2 more people. And I already talked about the internal post. So the bottom line is that above, I'm recommending that we promote Mr. Cahill. If he accepts, we have to replace him. And then if we get more work in the near future, we have to go outside and advertise externally for another planner, another Zach K, if you will. Okay. And I'll use him because he's one of the most recent hires. Jason, could you scroll down just a little bit more, please, sir? So we advertised internally for a range of 55 to 75,000. In our jargon, folks, a regional planner is entry level, a principal is mid-level, a senior planner is higher / assistant department head, and then you have a department head. That's kind of a hierarchy at the organization. Mr. K, employed as a regional planner with the organization for approximately 18 months, applied for a promotion. His work has been exemplary. This is a young gentleman who's has high work ethic, high level of maturity. My phrase I like to use when we find people of this caliber is that they're in their 20s in their life. They're at the stage of their career, but they're going on 40 or 45. I request that the commissioners promote Mr. K to the position of principal planner at the level of 61 and change, 61,526 and a few pennies. He'd also be eligible in July 1 for a bump, funding allowing, and performance. 6.3.3 talks about what I already hinted at. I think I can spend a little less time. If Mr. Cahill's promoted, we need to advertise outside. We have to bring somebody in to replace Bernie Cahill. Now, also, we did not advertise yet for a successor for Tracy Warrington's position. Why? Because I don't have the coin yet to put somebody else on the payroll. If we obtain these new grants from the community that they want us to do a transit-oriented development plan and some real estate analysis and housing analysis, like I said, that could be $200,000 to $300,000. I could have a contract in January 2nd or January 31st, but we need to advertise externally now to get some more horsepower. We need to look at resumes. So we're going to, with your approval, we'll advertise externally. And then Jason, if you could go to the bulleted list down on the bottom of that. So I'm respectfully requesting that commissioners give me some authority to hire a new planner ASAP to replace the one vacant position in planning, which will be left vacant by a planner to be promoted. into a department head role, and then hiring a second planning and development department if a sufficient amount of revenue is realized to warrant the hiring of a second planner. The executive director would inform the commissioners of the new employee or employees' names at the next meeting on to be held January 8th, after we've all had some great holiday cheer. Jason, could you go down to the resolution, please? And that basically just says, would you approve of the above as printed, so we can address agency's current and future workloads. The last thing I will say, 6.4, is if you do all those things with math and you promote people, you have to make a corresponding improvement on make a budget amendment in the salaries portion. So if you remember our budget, it has a revenue sheet, it has an expense sheet, and then it has a salary sheet. There's 3 sheets, 3 worksheets within an Excel file. So these summarize all of the numbers from above, but this is a separate action if you concur with all the above, then we technically have to amend the budget to allow all the above to happen. We do have sufficient funds to make these improvements. And the last thing I will say, and there's a resolution down there, if you want to pull that up just to the middle of the screen, that's awesome. So we'd have to do the budget amendment. As I just said, we have the funding. I anticipate new funding coming in. It may not, and if not, then I wouldn't hire that. Alexa, stop. I'm in the middle of a meeting. So that's basically everything. And I'm just going to stop talking. I think I summarized it well. So Jason, could you go back to 6.2? And then I'll turn this mic back to Guy, the chair tonight, and ask for resolutions to be voted on. Mr. Chair, thank you thank you everyone for letting me summarize that once. Go for it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. Thank you. First item here is Tracy Murphy, bumping her salary. We have a resolution here. Be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission hereby approves the executive director's request to increase the salary of Tracy Warrington, aka Tracy Murphy, as presented above. Do we have any questions in regards to this from the council members? No questions. I have no problem with that. Do I have a motion to move this resolution?
Could I just ask a question? Are all of these subject to funding availability, or some of these cast in stone?
Yes, they're all subject to funding availability now, which we have. And as an example, Russ, that additional planner, if I don't have funding in new grant revenue, new contract revenue from the community to do a Todd plan, if that doesn't happen, I don't have funding, and I wouldn't go forward with hiring that person. But we have dollars in the budget to do these things now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah, Alan Pease here. I'll move the resolution as it was read by Guy.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by
Russo.
okay. Roll call on this. Jason, could you take that?
Russell Burke,
Aye.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Brian Keating, maybe he left, I'm not sure. Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
and coming back to Brian Keating, who I believe is still here.
Yes.
That's it, I believe.
Okay, very good. Then it passes. Congratulations, Tracy Warrington. I'll have to get used to that. Okay, 6.3, Bernie Cahill. We have a resolution there to bump up his promotion to the position of Planning and Development Director. Now the resolution, I'll read the resolution here. Do we have any questions in regards to that first? Not hearing any, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission hereby approves the Executive Director's recommendation to promote Mr. Cahill to the position of Planning and Development Director as described above. Again, any questions, or do I have anybody that would like to move the resolution?
So moved.
Is his position after it's being vacated going? It was mentioned that he was one of two candidates that were hard to choose from. Is the person that's left was he at the same level as Mr. Cahill
They both had very similar qualifications.
in terms of salary?
I can check on that. Hang on just a second. No. The other person is paid about 8 or 10 more than Bernie is paid right now. I can get your real number in a second if you bear with me.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, they weren't
That's-
exactly paid exactly the same, Russ. To your
Okay.
question, sir. There was some distance between the two, sir.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
thank you. Glenn, he's basically taking over Karen's position, correct?
That's the recommendation. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
To move
very
into the
good.
department head position vacated by Ms. Chapman.
Okay, very good. Again, do I have a motion, or do we all, or did I already motion this?
So I'll move, Russ Burke. Well, so move.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, Alan Pease.
Thank you, Alan. If, any questions? If not, could you call the roll?
Russell Burke,
Burke, aye.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Brian Keating,
Aye.
Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbicero,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Aye.
I believe that's it.
Okay, so the resolution is moved. So we go down to the third resolution, which is Mr. K. Again, he is getting a raise here. Now, Glenn, is this performance or is he moving position because of Bernie moving position if he takes a position?
So this is a promotion based upon very satisfactory performance.
Okay, very good. Again, I'll read the resolution. Is there any questions? If not, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission hereby approves of the Executive Director's proposal to promote Mr. K from Regional Planner to Principal Planner and increase his salary as described above. Would somebody like to move the resolution?
He presented to us, he's been working on the Groton housing plan, and I thought he did a very good job presenting to the board, and I don't know how anybody with that salary would be staying, but I would make the motion that we approve. I think he's a keeper.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second, Alan Pease.
Okay, if no more questions, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that Montechusett Regional Planning Commission hereby approves of the Executive Director's proposal to promote Mr. K from Regional Planner to Principal Planner and increase his salary as described above. Okay, we've already had the motion second, so could you read the roll?
Russell Burke,
Burke, aye.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Russo, aye.
Brian Keating,
Aye.
Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Aye.
Okay, the resolution is passed. Now, 6.33. Okay. Excuse my stumbling. It's been a while since I've done this here. Okay. Now, this is Glenn wants to, this is
The external advertising for an additional planner or planners, Mr. Chairman.
okay, very good. This is a resolution. Be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission hereby authorize the MRPC Executive Director to proceed as described above to ensure that sufficient planning capacity exists to address the agency's current and potential workloads. Any questions, or would somebody like to move the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second, Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. Any questions? If not, could you read the roll, please?
My bad. I somehow muted myself by accident. Russell
Okay.
Burke,
Burke, aye.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Brian Keating,
Aye.
Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Aye.
And is that the roll?
Yeah, that's
So
it.
the resolution passes. So now that we've given all these raises, time to pay for them.
Yes, and to Mr. Burke's question earlier, Mr. Chairman, we have a projected surplus right now of 3% or about 81 grand. And these numbers tally generally, I haven't done the math exactly to the penny, but they tally to around 60 grand. But that's when you analyze for the whole year. So I just want to reinforce my response earlier, which I did not give a detailed response concerning money in the budget. Yes, it's there. I just want to give you some sense of dollars and figures. So dollars and cents. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Okay, great. Then the resolution, be it resolved that Montechusett Regional Planning Commission approves of the above amendment to the salaries of above named personnel as presented. Shouldn't this resolution say about the budget, or am I mistaken on this, Glenn?
I'm sorry,
About
Mr. Chair. What was your question, sir?
We're talking about the money. This last resolution here is talking about making adjustments to the budget. Did I understand that correctly earlier?
Yes, sir. It's making adjustments within the salary spreadsheet within the budget of the organization for FY26.
Okay, and this resolution covers that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Do I have any questions here? If not, do I have somebody that'd like to move the resolution?
So moved, Burke.
Okay, and a second?
Second, Alan Pease.
Okay, I have a first and a second. If I don't have any questions, could you call the roll, please?
Russell Burke,
Burke, aye.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Brian Keating,
Aye.
Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Aye.
And I believe that's it.
Okay, so the resolution is passed. So we move on to 6.5, if I'm not mistaken, which is Executive Director Transition. I take it you're going to speak on this, Glenn?
Extremely briefly, Mr. Monroe, our chairperson, asked me to put this into the agenda. For some reason, I don't know. I hope he's okay. He wanted to take the lead on this discussion. I'll give you 30 seconds of background. It'll be on the agenda for several meetings coming up. The bottom line is I've not been shy about saying that I will be retiring at a point in the relatively near future. I wanted to be retired by June 30, 26. That's not going to happen. It's either going to be December 30, 26 to June 30, 27. That's the new window to be solidified. And I apologize, I don't have a real date yet, but it's coming. Polly and I had a conversation with Christopher on prepping for this meeting, and he said, by the way, please put this on the agenda, because he wanted to talk to the commissioners about having a strategy for executive director transition, and that should come concurrent before or after having a strategic planning process for the organization. They should be kind of hand in glove as you all move forward for the future. All right. So I just planted the seed here of the conversation. I asked Christopher, I said, it would be really helpful if we had an outside consultant help with this, who, specializes in this kind of work. He said, yeah, that's a great idea. So you'll see the third bullet there is about outside support, hiring of a consultant, and cost, and so on and so forth. So this is an FYI. If Christopher was here, he'd be talking, not me. We'll do this in January, and I think he's going to talk more in depth on this topic and seek input from his fellow commissioners. That's all, Mr. Chairman, on this.
Okay, great. It'll give us something to think about over till the next meeting. Good to have the heads up, actually. Next item on the agenda is you again, Glenn, your lunch and learn.
So very quickly, we'll send out the invitation on this tomorrow to the local officials. We send out, we have a database of 200 or 250 or 300 local officials. We send this out. So I'll copy and paste this in my email. This will go out. So for the 8th Lunch and Learn, we'll have on December 17th at noon. I know Peter Cunningham from Groton's a regular fixture at these things, and we have great conversations, even if it's only him and 3 others that show up. But I'm trying to put on some more stuff that's not so negative, because I started these about 6 or 7 months ago, or 8 months ago, about federal funding cuts, and we have to monitor this, and federal funding cuts mostly for the communities. And it was an information sharing. Right now, I'm trying to expand it to be more about funding availability from the Fed and the state in other matters. So you can see the agenda there. You'll see it in your email in about a business day. Jason, if you could scroll down, I think the last part of that is just basically a meeting registration link and QR code. So this is just a heads up, and I believe this concludes my portion of the meeting. Thank you all for being patient. I'm sorry about all the admin, but this is our system for checks and balances, and I deeply appreciate your time.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Glenn. Now we come to the department updates. Do we have any department that has any updates for the to move things along? GIS?
No, I don't have any updates at this time.
Okay, planning and development. I don't think anybody's here.
Mr. Chairman, I've been covering for the transition, and I just want to say a couple things. The 4 employees in planning and development are just tops. If you're familiar with the old football phrase, the 4 horsemen, these folks are pistons in an engine, and they're very diligent, and all the staff are. I'm not trying to diss anybody, but I've gotten a chance to work more closely with Zach, Joe, Bernie, and Jeff, and it's just a true pleasure. My point is, everybody's a pleasure to work with, but I don't get a chance to work in the trenches as much. Second and final point I make is that, yes, I took over the administration of the Economic Development Administration contract and the Environmental Protection Agency brownfields. We've got our billing up to speed. I've been doing the reporting, billing, I should say. We've got our invoicing up to speed. We did our reporting on time, and I'll be holding several meetings from December through March for the EDA. We call them CEDS meetings, Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy meetings, and some brownfields working group meetings as early as next week through January, February, March for the next 4 months. So please watch your email for some meeting invitations. Probably do these at noon online, maybe 11, maybe 1, not sure yet. We'll figure that out. Just a quick update. I think planning and development deserve just a 2-second update. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Okay, very good. Do we have any questions for any of those departments? If
I do
not,
have a quick update for transit and transportation.
go ahead, Brian.
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we're beginning the process of developing the Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP. So as a reminder, the tip it's one of our main priorities as an MPO. It's prioritized listing of all federally funded transportation projects in the region, transit as well. In the coming months, we'll be prioritizing about roughly $75 million worth of construction projects in the region. So we're beginning the process of updating um, uh, the design process and the progress of each project. So we'll be reaching out to communities, design consultants. We're already working closely with Mass DOT and Federal Highway, but a number of communities have projects on this list. So what we're telling people is to get in touch with your design consultants if you do have a project on the tip, and get in updates to us, to Mass DOT. We'll be in touch with those individuals directly as well. But we are developing the 2027 through 2031 tip. So it's a 5-year process, 5-year document. We plan on wrapping that up in late spring. So there'll be much more to come. You've probably seen some of our mailings that have gone out related to the MPO. Typically, we undertake this process in January and wrap up in May. So again, if you have a project on the tip, I would get in touch with your design consultant and just have them give updates in the coming months. So thank you. Any questions, let me know.
Okay, any questions, Brian? If not, thank you, Brian. We'll move on to new business. Do we have anybody wants to bring up anything under new business? If not, I don't hear anything else. I think it's adjournment time. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know if anybody wanted to adjourn. I'll keep going.
I've
do I
got
have
a
a
hockey
second?
game. I have a hockey game to go to.
Okay, yeah. I know. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Doug, so I call this meeting adjourned at 8:21 by consensus.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.